Good evening. Welcome to our Christmas organ concert. I hope you guys all enjoy it, and it was worth braving the wind to get here. Before we start, I want to introduce our soloist. We know we have Bob Oster back here on the organ. We have Sharon Jones on the flute, and we have Emily Hayward, which is singing for us tonight. And we have Jola Joy that's playing the trumpet and the flugelhorn, correct? I also want to thank our people in the sound booth, Rick Vandenberg on PowerPoint and Dan Hayward on the sound system. Just making sure I didn't switch you around. They donated their time to be here tonight to help get this concert off. A couple more details. When Bob starts playing the hymns, if you can stand, if you're able, that would be great. And the most important thing, make sure your phones and anything that beeps is turned off. We would appreciate it. And now let's sit back and enjoy the concert.
That was great. Hi, everybody. I grew up in a large Presbyterian church back in Rochester, New York. They had a big pipe organ and 2 organists from the Eastman School of Music, 3 ministers. In fact, a former minister of this church, Ken Keller, was an associate pastor at that church that I grew up in back in Rochester. And that was very typical of the Sunday morning hymn playing that I grew up with, and it's so much fun to be part of that here. And Joe, thank you for the wonderful trumpet work. So, as part of the concert tonight, we're going to have a mini, and I stress the word mini, 101 version of Getting to Know the Organ. This will not be a master class, rather something to give you a better understanding of what's involved with playing and listening to the organ. First of all organists are pianists, but not all pianists are organists. As a pianist, they have the piano, but an organist has an entire symphony orchestra at his disposal. I have to use my feet, and I use a completely different technique of fingering. With the piano, the sound immediately decays. Emily, would you just plunk a note there for us? The moment you hit it, no, hold it down, please. It decays. But as long as you're holding the note down on the organ, it will play and play. As long as the blowers are on, it will just keep playing. There's no decay in the sound. Now, if you turn your program over, you'll see on the back that there's a listing of specifications for this instrument. And it's a bit like a foreign language, if you will. All the stops are the individual sounds of the organ are listed. You'll see terms in French, German, and English. The stops that have an asterisk next to them are digital. This instrument is a hybrid instrument. It is not 100% pipe. It's about 1/3 digital, which means the sounds are being produced electronically through a computer, through a bunch of speakers, all the way up on the top, lining the upstairs, and then 2/3 pipe. We'll get to that in a second. The numbers represent the octave in which the sounds are produced. So, for example, if I have an 8-foot principal stop, and I play that, it sounds where the instrument is. Middle C sounds where middle C is. If I play the 4-foot, I get an octave above that. If I play the 2-foot, I get an octave above that. So by playing one note, I'm actually getting 3 in this case, and that's where a lot of the power comes from the instrument. Similarly, if we have an 8-foot stop and we go the other way, 16 now goes down an octave, and then 32 goes down another octave from that. Okay? So one note, I'm getting multiple octaves in, and so the lower the number, the higher the pitch. Okay, if we could get the console keyboard, or the console video or picture up there. So this is what I call Command Central. And you'll see that there are actually 3 keyboards. There's 2 for the hands, and then way down below are what I play with my feet. It's the same thing. There's a group of there's white notes, the white keys, and then there's a groups of 3 and 2 black notes, and it's the same as configuration in the pedals, except they're a little bit farther apart because, well, you can figure that out. So the upper keyboard controls the swell manual, and we're the swell stops, and then you can see on the back what stops those are. Now, everything as you're looking at it, the left side of the organ, back behind this wall, and you're going to see pictures of what's in there in just a second, is the swell division. This is the great division back here. And the pedals are in both divisions. The large pedal pipes are in both divisions, and they're also up on top. If you're up in the balcony, you can see the tops, the very tops of some of the longer pedal pipes. Those are 16 feet tall. You'll see just the tops of them sticking out. Okay, so if we could get, before we leave this, you'll see at the underneath, at the bottom there, where the foot pedals are, you'll see 3 pedals that look like accelerator pedals. That's how I control the volume. The middle pedal controls the volume for this, and all that is the pipes are in a room with louvered slats on them. And you press that pedal down, and the slats open up, let the sound out. You close the pedal, and the slats close, and the sound stays in. The pedal on the far right is called the crescendo pedal, and you will hear that at the second hymn, going into the third verse of the second hymn that we do, because I will gradually add stops with my feet. Okay, so underneath each keyboard, you'll see, it's hard to see here, but underneath each keyboard, there are these little round buttons. Those are called presets, and I can preset any combination of stops to those buttons. So when you heard me during the hymn, for example, all of a sudden the organ got really loud on that last verse. I just hit a preset that was set to the stops that I wanted. Same thing in the opening, let the all mortal flesh keep silence. There were multiple stop settings in there. I would just hit a piston preset, and I could automatically change the sounds that's coming out. It's kind of cool, I think, anyway. All right, let's go now to show the great chamber first. These are the pipes that are in behind this wall right here, right above me. And you can see there are large pipes, small pipes, some made of wood, different kinds of metal. And let's go to the swell chamber now, please. And the same thing there. You'll see different kinds of pipes, sizes, designs. All these pipes have different sounds and different characteristics to them. Okay, so that ends this discussion. That was your mini 101. Well, we'll call it a 100.9 version. So if any of you do have questions after the concert or want to just come up and see the console, please do that. I love talking about the instrument and teaching people about it. So we're going to move on with the program now, and I'm not going to be doing a lot of talking in the rest of the concert now. It's going to be it's going to be all music. But I want to just give you a heads up on the next three pieces. These are extremely short. These three French Noëls, so you're going to have to listen quickly. You'll hear the sounds coming from each side of the organ. So when you hear sounds coming from over there, I'm on the top keyboard. And when you hear sounds coming from above me here, I'm on the lower keyboard, the swell and the great chambers. The sounds will be changed between each Noël, and I will be using the pistons to make those changes. And a real quick translation. The first one roughly translates to Christmas shepherds, here is your happy place, and we're assuming that that's the stable. The next one is a bit strange because that word is in there. It says, "Oh, Christians, we find this strange." And I've been thinking about this for a long time now. What is the composer of this, or the text of this? What are they finding strange? Is it that the Son of God was born to the Virgin Mary, that he was born in a barn? What was strange? I think you'll let your imagination run with that. And finally, no, the last one there is not a Christmas carol about sauce. Béarnais is a sauce, but it's also a dialect from the region of Béarn in France, in the southwest corner of France. The term Béarnais means a dialect. It also happens to be a really good sauce if you're into egg multiplications and all that stuff. Anyway, these are short, but they're delightful little things that use different sounds of the organ. you please join me in welcoming one of our guest soloists for tonight, my sister-in-law. This is Joni's sister, Sharon Jones. I remember from 1980 to 1988, I was organist at the Methodist Church here in town, and I got carried away for some reason on the hymn, and I forgot to hit the cancel, which cancels all the stops. And the next thing was like this really soft accompaniment for the choir, and the choir stood to sing, and it happens. Thank you. So this is Emily Haywood. Emily was recently hired, along with her husband Dan, back here to head up our worship and music. Emily has a degree in voice performance from Central Michigan University. Please welcome her. Thank you. Beautiful. I thought we'd try something a little different now. Slipping into the more secular selections. So for the next 3 selections, I'm going to attempt to transform this instrument into a theater organ. Okay? The Roaring 20s, all that stuff. Now, it doesn't have percussion or bird whistles. The console doesn't come out of the floor, although that would be awesome. But a couple of stop adjustments, and there's a different playing technique with theater organ. So with theater organ, with traditional organ, I use both feet when I'm playing the pedals. The theater organ, your right foot stays on the volume pedals that I showed you earlier, and the left foot just dances around, boom, 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 while the right hand plays after beats, boom, chick, boom, chick, boom, chick, and then the left hand, and then the right hand plays the melody. So we're gonna try this. So I'm going to play I'll Be Home for Christmas, and then if that works out, we're gonna try Jingle Bells together, okay? Fasten your seatbelts, I don't know what's gonna happen. Theater artists don't use music. All right, here we go. So I said to my wife many years ago, I said, I love being a church organist, but I always wanted to be a great theater organist. Can we put one in our house? I said, we can blow out the back living room and just build on an extent. I could get a real theater organ in there. Seating. She looked at me and goes, no. And that was the end of that. Okay, so we're gonna try Jingle Bells now. But you know what we need? Since this isn't a real theater organ, it doesn't have its own jingle bells. So I brought some. And I need a volunteer to play these. Eldon Castle, thank you very much. Let's hear it for Eldon for volunteering to come up here. Okay, Eldon, the first part is you only play these on when we're singing the Jingle Bells. When we're doing Dashing Through the Snow, you don't, if you start playing during that, I'm going to stop. Okay, so enable this. Okay, percussion, that is 101. All right, so let's just try that once. Okay, that's a little slow. You Joe, was that like 4 or 5 years ago we did the Carols and Jazz here? Were any of you here for that? He had his combo and we took turns and it was Carols and Jazz, literally. And on the way out, he says to me, "That's the first time I've ever done a lounge gig in a church." I thought that was great. So I thought, let's do the lounge gig again. Except the last time we did this, when we were doing the jazz, I was on piano. But we're going to back this thing down with a couple of, just some string stops here, but we're going to keep the tremolos going, because that's what theater organs have. And we're going to try this. We've done this, I think, 3 times, twice? Twice. And you don't know what's going to happen.
But it's going to be different every time, that's right. Okay, what are we doing? Oh, C of key.
in a church. That was so awesome, Joe. Oh my gosh, that was so much fun. Thank you so much then to all of our soloists tonight for their participation. It's been, yeah. So before I play the final two selections, I want to put in a plug. This Sunday at 3 p.m. in the Performing Arts Center at Hastings High School, the Lakewood Area Choral Society will be performing their first concert in 2 years. We have half the choir that agreed to perform masked. You won't know it when you hear them. Please come out. There's no tickets. We're going to take a free will offering, but it's 3 o'clock this Sunday at the Performing Arts Center. We hope to see you there. The final two selections will demonstrate the two volume extremes of this instrument, both from the softest string stops in Away in the Manger, because we don't want to wake the baby. I will also be using the McMullen chimes. Let's show that slide. These chimes were purchased by Earl McMullen and brought over from the other church, and they are housed in the great chamber right above me here, and you'll hear them. I'm going to use them at the end of Away in the Manger. And then Kim is going to come back up and say a few words while I get set for the final piece. Thank you all for coming again, and thanks to all of our support people back here too. I really appreciate it. Okay, Away in the Manger.
talk about the organ a little bit. As many of you know, this organ was brought over from the old church. It's actually been around for quite a while, and they took it all apart, and they brought it over here, and they put it all back together. And from Bob's pictures, you can see how complicated that must have been. The organ has reached a point where it needs some repairs and some updates to get it to the point where we would like it. And to that end, we are asking for a free will offering. All the money that is raised tonight will go in a fund for the organ maintenance and upgrades. So on your way out, there's a couple of plates on the little tables back there. Give what you can, maybe nothing, maybe a lot, whatever you're comfortable with. And Bob will play one more song for us. Thank you for coming.